You are tuned in to K1 Radio MN Show. Here's a sneak peek of a couple of interview clips I got lined up for you. I hope you don't miss them. Check it out. First clip is from Carnage the Executioner. Mean to you.
My art means everything. It is the reason I'm still alive, and it's the reason I keep doing it. You know, when things were rough in my life, you know, growing up, you know, not knowing where my next meal was going to come from, not knowing where I was going to live, I always had music playing in my head. Music has always been the soundtrack for my life, even when my life wasn't going so well. So music in that respect means everything to me. It's the reason I'm here, and it's the reason I keep going. So yeah.
What would you think the soundtrack for society would be right now? If there was a track playing in the background, what do you think that song would be in this moment?
That's that's a good question. There's a few different ones. One would be Public Enemy's Fight the Power.
Ooh.
That would be one. Also, Public Enemy's Rebel Without a Pause. You know, if you're fighting the power and you're a rebel. Then you can't stop the fight.
Yes.
You know, so you have to keep fighting at all times. So the pause is not welcome in what's going on right now. So, you know, continuing to find a way to use your voice to, you know, uplift the people who need to be uplifted most. You know, that's those songs kind of speak to what's happening in the world right now. So I would say those two are the soundtracks.
Yeah. Excellent. How long have you been making music, Carnage?
In my mind, I started making music when I was about 7 years old. When I started wanting to be a drummer, that's what I first wanted to do. I used to set pillows on my couch and get wooden spoons and turn on MTV and play the drums to every song that came on MTV. So when I was about 7 or 8 years old, I imagined myself as a drummer. So in my head, I was doing that 7 or 8. I also wanted to be a turntablist, a DJ, and that was happening around the same time. So I would, you know, make up stories in my head about what I would do if I got a chance to be on turntables for the first time. So in my head, I was making it at 7 or 8, and I didn't really make physical music until I was about 10 years old when I started beatboxing. So that's when I was able to actually do it.
Who inspired you to beatbox?
Fat Boys, Buff Love, the Human Beatbox from Fat Boys. I think that was one of the songs on my list that I sent you. Well, on my list of links of songs. When I heard the Fat Boys, I was totally enamored, and I was like, that's what I'm gonna do. So I started teaching myself how to beatbox. And I wasn't saying in my head, I'm a beatboxer or I'm gonna be a beatboxer. I just did it and practiced and practiced and practiced and practiced. And I don't even know if I ever got good at it. I just kept doing it, and then I started rapping, and then everything just kind of, you know, molded together into one form of self-expression, which became my life in hip-hop. So yeah, that's what it was.
Beautiful. What intrigues you about the hip-hop industry? Why didn't you go to R&B or jazz or blues?
I like all of that music, but hip-hop was more my soundtrack. It was I felt like it mirrored, the sound of hip-hop mirrored the life I was going through at that time, and I didn't all the way realize it. You know, I didn't realize it until I was a bit older that was the music that was speaking to me. The attitudes that the hip-hop artists had that I was watching and that I was learning from, that was basically forming my personality. You know, so that's why I ended up gravitating towards hip-hop. The rugged, raw, unapologetic sound of Run DMC became kind of my soundtrack, and it became my voice that I heard in my head that I wanted to hear myself sound like when I talked.
Cool.
And when I spoke, I wanted to sound like Run DMC. So it wasn't until I was about 13 where I was able to figure out how to make myself sound like Run DMC, which was by writing my own raps. So yeah, that's kind of my answer to that. And the industry itself, what intrigues me is how it keeps evolving. You know, it's never the same. It's not the same as it was, you know, a year ago. It's not the same as it was 6 months ago.
Right.
You know, there's always something new popping up and something new happening and some new thing you have to, you know, learn to adapt to.
I know you want to check that interview out. And I can't even believe I got to sit down with Antonio Duke, of all the amazing actors in the Twin Cities. Can you imagine where his inspiration is drawn from? When you're alone in your mind, where do you draw inspiration?
I mean, that's interesting. I try to see who else is doing what I'm trying to express. So inspiration can come from like a painting of some other dope artist that it's like that's the thing that I want to try to do. Or it could just come from like a feeling of rage or joy or whatever. It could just be like a scream or anything. Yeah.
When you start to convey emotion and you're drawing it from inside, do you have to create a happy medium and balance?
That would be the healthy thing to do, wouldn't it? Sometimes, sometimes it would be the smart thing to do. You know, a lot of the vast majority of my theater work deals with historical trauma. So a lot of the time when you're like in the immersion of it all, you kind of just are there. But once you go home, you try to shake it off a bit. So yeah, I would say yes, you should.
What was your most memorable performance?
My most memorable that I've witnessed or been in, or
both?
Oh, okay. My most memorable performance that I've witnessed. There are so many. Okay, I'm gonna say two. The first is a production at Pillsbury House Theater called The Brothers Size with Namir Smallwood, James Williams, and Gavin, I am thinking I'm pronouncing his last name right, Lawrence, directed by Mary McClinton. That performance was breathtaking. And another one is complete opposite. I saw it in London when I was studying there. It's a comedy called The Play That Goes Wrong, and it was playing at the West End, and it was just so hilarious.
Love it.
Yeah.
Excellent. And your most memorable that you've performed?
Oh, yes. I went to the U of M Guthrie VFA actor training program, and they had their first August Wilson rep. They did their first August Wilson play, and I went back to play a part in it.
Yes.
And I played a character called King Headley in 7 Guitars, and that was my most memorable, just because of what.
Oh, how epic! Ooh.
Yeah. What it meant. Yeah.
I am telling you, there are so many amazing people on the roster lined up for you. You don't want to miss it. Stick around. This is K1 Radio MN Show, where good vibes and